Hello everyone, it's Synchro Fanatic here, and today I'm going to be giving you a brand new deck profile for a deck I'm going to be working on for a very long time. This has been one of my favourite archetypes I've seen in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game for a very long time. I've been really enjoying the branded storyline. I loved Sword Soul when it came out before I realised that Token Collector actually just does my nut in, and I don't like how fragile Sword Soul kind of is in a lot of areas. So now that the deck is re-affordable, I decided to build branded Despia, which I like a lot more than Sword Soul. So let's get started. So we're going to play 3 copies of Aluba, the Jester of Despia. Searches all your branded spells and traps. So you want to be playing 3 of this in the pure version. In the other versions, you can definitely drop it to 1 because it's not as necessary. But yeah, in branded Despia, you definitely want to be playing 3. 3 copies of Tragedy. I do play Lower Darkness in this list. So Despian Tragedy, you want to banish to obviously search a Despia card, Despia monster, and add it to your hand. You can also gain back branded spell traps from your graveyard by banishing it, but you can only use 1 effect per turn, so usually you want to use them as material or for Lower Darkness to search. 1 copy of Comedy just to try it out. I'd probably cut this in the future builds because I don't think it's that good, but it's still alright as it is. It's another name to use for a fusion, but it doesn't get you anything back. Only useful thing that really about it is that it blocks Veiler and Imperm, which I thought I might be seeing a bit of, so I gave it a try out, but I'll definitely be cutting this in the future because it just didn't perform. A copy of Dramaturge and Ad Libitum. I didn't use Dramaturge or Ad Libitum because I was still learning the deck and the interplay lines, so I wasn't confident enough to really play into the lines where I could reuse these to full effect. If I wasn't sure how to proceed, I'd search for another Aluba just for follow-up play. So I probably played the deck a bit inoptimally, but still did all right. But yeah, wouldn't cut if you lose. Ad Libitum came in clutch in a few matchups because I could get my Mirror J back and just get more pluses. And Dramaturge is just a free 3k body that's another interruption. So definitely be playing 2s. And on a more cosmetic note, Dramaturge just looks like a freaking Dark Souls boss. So I'm 100% playing that card all the time. 3 copies of Fallen of Albaz because Fallen of Albaz is again the meat and potato dish of this deck. A lot of the fusions require him, and he's fantastic going second because you can just summon him with Incredible Ecclesia or himself or anything, and just try and fuse, and their opponent has to respond to it because they don't want to get super polyed. Play 1 Albion the Shrouded Dragon just to dump my branded spells and traps into the deck. See if I can get them back. 1 Kit, because it's effectively another branded spell trap searcher, so if I use a Lubra but I have Kit in circulation, I can use Kit as well and then get another plus. And I can put bricks such as Incredible Ecclesia back into the deck if I want to use them for branded fusion. 2 Tri-Brigade Mercuria. Only reason I'm playing this at 2 is because I'm playing a Lower Darkness, so having another monster that can be banished to search off Lower Darkness is quite nice. And it acts as a hand trap as well, but it's just mainly because I play 3 Allure, why not? And then 1 Incredible Ecclesia for the light target, and she's also pretty good going second, so definitely good. I have some more cards on the way, because I'm going to give you an updated deck list later. I think, for the monster lineup, I think I'll be replacing Incredible Ecclesia and Despian Comedy with 2 copies of Cartesia, because Cartesia is just better for this archetype in going in the future. Ecclesia is absolutely fine as it is, but Cartesia obviously acts like a quick play poly and can recycle herself, so I think she'll be better going forward. But that's it for the monsters. So 3 copies of Branded Fusion. I don't think there's any dispute here in the Branded Despia list. You want to be playing as max copies of this card as you can, because once it resolves, it's pretty much GG. 3 copies of Branded Opening. Branded Opening just lets you, bait Astra, so it does something uninitiated, but basically you want to summon a Lubra off it to get your pluses going, so if it's just quick launch for the Despias. But it also discards for effect, not for cost, which means it triggers stuff like Despian Tragedy, which is a nice little interaction. And it can protect your fusions if they were to be destroyed. 2 copies of Branded in Red. This card is actually kind of crazy. Just being able to add back branded cards and then banish them to fusion summon means that you get to trigger their effects all over again. So it does mean that you lose to Crow with this card, but you can just easily set it off Albion or search it with a Luba and just carry on with your plays. It's just crazy, crazy spell card. I did play Branded Lost because I was playing a lot of cards that mentioned Fallen of Alba, so I decided to play the Branded Lost package. This was done alongside Lower Darkness because I don't have Patchwork or Chain, but I definitely think that engine is a lot better than Branded Lost. I'd rather play that than Branded Lost. Branded Lost is nice because it's searchable, but what I found was that I'd be searching this off a Luba, and while it would protect my fusion summons and stuff, I found it generally made some of my play lines a lot weaker in some way, whereas Patchwork, you have more advantage. You just get more gas in your tank, and I think that's more important for a deck like this. Probably the controversial pick. I paid 2 copies of the field spell because, again, this build is a bit of a wonky one. This isn't like the norm. Because I was playing like the branded lost stuff and the Aluba engine, I decided to treat this as more of a grindy deck rather than just set up turn 1 and just smash him game 2. I figured I'd be in more of a grind game situation, which I think Despia Theatre of the Branded works really well for, because if your fusion monster dies, Aluba can come back, negate something, and then if they kill Aluba, Theatre triggers and you get your fusion monster back. That never came up though, so I definitely will cut this to like probably 1 copy. Definitely play 1 copy because I think the card is a nice searchable field spell, and having the ability to just poly every turn is nice. But 2 of was fine. I don't think 2 of was necessarily bad, but it's definitely not needed. So it's an easily cuttable card and something I probably will cut as well. 3 Allure of Darkness. This card was great all day. I always had something to banish off it that was helpful. Like, I don't think I whiffed a Allure of Darkness banish that didn't give me a plus or something. Like, I always had Tragedy, or I always had Mercuria to banish off it. So this card was mental all day. Locals, it was just insane. So I may keep it going forward because just free plussing is nice. But yeah, it was just insane all week, all day on Saturday. A copy of Gold Sark, so you can banish Mercuria to search Kit, which is just another way to get to extenders and branded cards. 3 copies of Talents. This card, again, was also fantastic all day. I broke somebody's window board by nicking their Dragos Depelia with it, which was fantastic because they redoed me and nicked the top card on my deck, and then decided to use Redoer's effect just to draw. Instead of just banishing it as well. So they ended up doing that, and I had to get out the window because he fused into window as well. So I nicked their Dragos Depelia and smacked it with the Dragos Depelia. I could have... I tried to negate it with Dragos Depelia, but then I forgot Dragos Depelia only does activations, but I still got over it. But failing that, there was a situation where like my opponent... Veilered my Aluba, so I tactics, draw 2, and then Allure, draw 2 into like Mercuria, banish Mercuria, and just carried on anyway. So, like, fantastic card. Definitely think I'll keep this along with some board break as well. Alongside that, I play 3 copies of Super Polymerization because it's just cracked in this deck. Like, every scenario it came. I think there's only 1 deck that I couldn't really use it effectively, and that was against Mathmech. And even if you can't use it with your opponent's stuff, you can still use it with your own monsters to just kind of tinker your board into something better. So like if you need a Quaterus, you can just fuse like Masquerade and Luber into Quaterus and just use that instead. Like there's so many uses of Super Polymerization that I don't see it. Unless there's like a really good reason for it, I wouldn't see myself not playing 3. And also the fact that they can't respond to it. Like once you play this, it's the chain's over. The chain's over. You have the final say. And then 1 copy of Call by the Grave. I saw this a lot on Saturday, and it saved my bacon against Ash Blossom quite a few times. Like, there was always somebody who was trying to ash me, but this came up a lot. And mainly, sometimes it was for hand trap, other times it was just for, just a regular cards that being annoying in the graveyard. In my very last game, it was weird because I got Veilered at one moment, and the Veiler would have passed my turn. So I was like, okay, so he hit me with Veiler. So I chained Call by the Grave, and he Veilered me again, which meant I didn't get my search off Aluba, which I needed to play. But, weirdly enough, that second Veiler he needed to actually play. So this forced out the second Veiler, and meant he couldn't actually do any combo for his turn, which was really weird. So he tried to debury me, but I had Solemn Judgment to negate it. So yeah, really, really odd scenario that one, but it worked out with clutch. And then just play 2 crap cards. I play 1 Branded Banishment and Retribution. Branded Banishment is ridiculous. Being able to like special summon Aluba on your turn, on your opponent's turn, get another search and fusion summon is nice. And if you don't have access to Aluba but you have Branded Fusion in the graveyard, Retribution can just add fusion back and let you pop off anyway. So I think that's quite nice. And that's it for the main deck. Let's go to the extra deck now. So I played 2 copies of Lubellion. Because I was going for a more grindy list, I thought Lubellion would be fine at 2 copies. Could definitely trim this down to 1 maybe if you're feeling cheeky, but I like to have the second one just because I am that kind of player that, maybe doesn't manage his resources the best all the time. So I play 2 just because I think it's better just to not be greedy and try and pick 1. But I also am missing some other good fusion targets like Garura, for example, so I have some extra space. 3 copies of Albion the Branded Dragon. I don't own Alba Lenitus, otherwise Alba Lenitus would have been one of these. maybe. But yeah, Albion's just good because, you know, you can fuse with him, send him to the graveyard, he gets a plus. So obviously, you want to play Albion of some capacity at 2 or 3, defo. 3 copies of Mirror Jade. Again, you only need 2 of this. Definitely cut one of these for like a better Super Poly target or something. Definitely, I only played 3 of those just because I was new to the deck, so I wanted to have like my training wheels on, if you catch me. Definitely don't need 3 of this, but it is the best. It is a ridiculous fusion monster. This card just does everything, like from banishing to destruction to plussing, like unbelievable. Like it makes the branded stuff worth playing on its own, honestly. And then I played 2 copies of Masquerade, the local IRS tax dragon. Yeah, there was a number of occasions where this guy came up and just burnt my opponent to death, dealt some damage, won me some pressure on time, stopped a player from doing his combo. So yeah, Masquerade's obviously like good and it can come back as well. So definitely a Despia special. But if I didn't have the capacity to make 2. I usually did try and make Quertris as well, because Quertris is just like a nice card to float into. You can reduce the attacker stuff, and he floats as well. And with the field spell, you can use him if Aluba dies. You can bring Quertris back. It's quite nice. So I quite like Quertris as a card. I think if I can make double Masquerade, then I make double Masquerade. But if it's just one Masquerade or Quertris, I think I'd rather just play Quertris but you know, force him to pay 600 only really matters in a few matchups. So. But like if they're a combo deck, one Masquerade's probably still more value. But if they're not combo, then Quertris is probably fine. But I like both. So one Guardian Chimera. I borrowed this for the week. I borrowed one of these for the weekend. Never summoned this guy. I know that's going to be blasphemy, and I don't know if people are saying, "What are you doing?" You know, this is the best. This is the whole reason you play this deck. This card's insane. Most of the hands or situations I came up in, I just didn't need him, so I never summoned him once. But of course, you know. New to the deck as well, so I probably missed the playlands when I should have used him. There was one opportunity I used him, and I figured if I did, my opponent would have just popped off anyway. And as I'm not playing Polymerization, I can't protect him with card effects, so he's not as good as he could be. So, still, obviously, if you need him and you want to draw cards or pop cards, he's obviously unbelievable. And I've branded in red, he's fantastic. So, yeah, still, like, the best fusion monster in the extra deck, arguably. And this one I actually have a copy now to keep, so I actually managed to find one. But yeah, this card's insane. Just because I didn't use it doesn't mean this card's bad. It's just I am dumb and don't know how to use it. But apparently I didn't need to because I still did alright. And then for the Super Poly targets, Dragostapelia, Starving Venom, and Mud Dragon. I thought Starving Venom negated. It does not, so that was a reminder for me. Never made Mud Dragon, but Dragostapelia and Starving Venom I did. Was quite nice. But yeah. Apart from that, yeah, nothing to really say about that. Like, you know, they're just Super Poly tag. I'm trying to think of something witty or profound to say about them, but no, they're just there because they go Super Poly. You know, let's go. If I had a Garura, I'd be playing a Garura, but besides that, the only card I was playing was like the 3-headed Predaplant one, the Trifolium or something, but I ended up dropping that for a Guardian Chimera. So, anyway, for the side deck, Eradicate Epidemic Virus, didn't side them in, but still pretty good. Harpies and Giant Trunades. Giant Trunade came up in Game 3 against Mathmech. He bricked, set 2 past. I just hate Trunaded and summoned Tragedy to hit him for game. And unfortunately, time rules do suck. But yeah. So, got a game on there. 3 Lightning Storm. Sided it once, but it got redoed, so I didn't use it all weekend. But this is just for generic Flunder back row decks that want to still linger. I just zap these guys and give him a rude awakening, hopefully. 3 copies of Dark Ruler no more because it breaks boards, and you know Despia can deal pretty nicely damage and get rid of boards. So Dark Ruler is pretty not. If I had droplets, I'd be playing droplets, but Dark Ruler's fine. You know, it does the job. But, you know, whichever you've got, you use, don't you? And then finally 3 copies of Solemn Judgment, just to negate some random stuff. Like this was just the I could play hand traps, but I thought to myself, let's just have a generic going first card to help supplement the board, and it only came up against a random dimensional barrier player, somebody that tried to debarrier me, and they went second, because obviously I made them go second, went first, tried to Aluba, they stopped me doing Aluba with the Call by the Grave nonsense with the 2 Veilers. Had to set debarrier, thought it would keep them safe, but I had Judgment to negate it, so That's saying my bacon, but beyond that, it could easily be anything else. It's just generic, good going first card. But yeah, that's going to be my janky ass branded Despia list. I really enjoy the deck. It's a lot of fun to play. There's a lot of play lines to do, lots of ways you can take the deck, lots of different builds you can experiment with as well, and there's definitely lots of engines you can try out. Like, I'm going to be changing the build going forward. I'm going to add the Cartesias in when they arrive, but I will be adding Cartesias in, and I now have the Fright for Patchwork engine, so I'm going to be trying that out because I think that engine is very, very nice on a card economy. You just get to +1, and then, you know, get the Patchwork back for next turn, which just gives you a constant supply of cards, which is fantastic. But all in all, this deck's awesome. I really enjoy playing it. I had a lot of fun, learnt a lot playing it. Got a lot to learn though. Like, you know, never using Chimera or being able to use Chimera was a bit of a dum-dum on my part. There's probably a lot of games I could have made myself easier if I used it. But you know, this is the deck I will be sticking with for the majority of the time. And yeah, because it's just an archetype. I think I've really the first meta archetype besides Sword Soul in a long time. I've just looked at and gone, this looks really fun to play. But anyway, I've waffled on enough, so I will be going now, guys. Thanks for watching, and take care. Have a nice week.